You are listening to the Signal to Noise podcast on the ProSound Web Podcast Network, sponsored by RCF and Allen Heath. For over 70 years, RCF's passion for perfection drives the design of every product to create unique experiences for venues around the globe. RCF's RA Pro Series professional active studio monitors are optimized for near-field studio applications, broadcast, and desktop use. Whether you're in a small studio using a mobile system or hotel room desk, you have a powerful system to accurately mix with uncolored audio reproduction. Learn more at rcf-usa.com for the latest news and product information. RCF, the sound behind the experience. Allen and Heath has asked us to read this. A math problem. If Bob has 12 pounds of taco meat to serve a crew of 10, which contains 2 vegetarians and only 3 dozen corn tortillas and 5 tomatoes, can I get more bass in my monitor?
I wish I could break free, back to where I'm supposed to be. I wish I could break free, back to where I'm supposed to be.
Do we push the button?
Yeah.
Oh, what are we waiting for?
Sick.
You.
How's it going?
Oh, okay. Sick.
Is this how it always goes?
Yes.
People
Okay.
think we like write scripts and prepare, and I can assure you, no, we do not
No, we
write
don't.
scripts. Welcome to the Signal to Noise podcast on the ProSound Web Podcast Network. My name is Michael Lawrence. This is Chris. What number is this?
Shoot.
190.
190?
190 episodes of this thing. Holy cow. I am joined by my handsome co-hosts, Chris Leonard and Sam Boone. You're both very handsome.
What's up?
Girls can be handsome too. We're equal opportunity here at the Signal to Noise podcast. Before we get into our guest for this week, Sam Boone, what is the coolest thing you have in arm's reach?
Oh, I was not prepared for this.
No, but you did some decorating. I see you've got your vinyls out, and that looks nice.
Yeah, and if I push the chair backwards, they'll be within arm's reach. Yeah, so I'm going with the vinyls.
What vinyl? Oh, she's digging.
Oh, she's digging.
She's crate diving right now.
All right, well, while she's digging her crate, I'll go, I guess.
Yeah, why don't you?
I'll give a shout out to Billy LaGuardia. He has an awful airport, but he has a case company called LM Cases, and he sent us some cool stickers and some hoodies and some sweatshirts. It is the most comfortable hoodie I've ever freaking owned. It's got like the Sherpa lining on the inside.
Yeah, it's
like
super warm. Yeah,
it's amazing. So thank you, Billy. We appreciate the swag and the love, and go listen to his episode. So.
And Kyle's texting us pictures of his office right now, which means that he's like in his office and
But
still
not
not
here.
logged on to the recording. So I've just reminded him that we are in fact recording the show right now, and he should log in. Sam's still digging.
I got
Oh,
it.
you got it? Okay, what do
Yeah.
you got?
I have Rumors by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that's
nice.
a good one. That's
Yeah,
respectable.
I also have like a second edition pressing of Thriller somewhere.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, hence the digging. But we
I
went
see.
with Rumors.
Yeah. I've got, let me see. Tax information is not exciting. I have these little stickers. These are cool little stickers, and they're scale replicas of the candelabra from the Phantom of the Opera set.
That's
that
in your
I-
office?
Yes, and some girl, I think her name's like Kristen Bon Jovi. She has a little Etsy page where she makes little stickers, and she sent me these, and they're really cool. So there you have it. Sam, who is our guest on the show this week?
So today we're joined by Mr. Pete Abdou. Hanging out.
Hello.
How's it going, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Can
Hanging
you
out.
can you tell us about Pete and what Pete does?
Yeah,
and why
so
he's here?
Pete's
Oh,
hanging out.
here's the fifth
and,
person.
Oh wait, Kyle's showing up. Hey, Kyle.
Oh my God.
Wow, he's loud.
Put your headphones in, Kyle.
Hang on. Why is that so loud?
Oh my God.
And it's like echoing back.
Yeah, because I got my headphones not plugged in.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Bro, we got one job.
Hey, buddy.
All right.
How's it going?
Hi, Kyle. How you doing, man? You look great. You look real good.
Trying to clean up this fucking room, and then I forgot about this podcast.
Maybe when we get to 200 episodes, you'll have a rhythm established.
Let's do one thing.
Yeah, the rhythm of Tuesdays. Go ahead and let me know about that.
Well, we switched, to be fair. In Kyle's defense,
like a
we
week ago.
switched. Like 100 and something episodes in, we're like, let's do this differently.
And I'm not worried about it, but you're on your internal microphone. And then let's do one more housekeeping before we actually have Sam intro.
Oh,
Pete.
come see our event. Come see us.
Yes.
Right?
So
Can I
March
talk about
8th. Yes, March 8th
Where'd he
in
go?
Nashville.
We're a mess.
We want to give a special shout out to Alan Heath and RCF for coming on as sponsors for the event. And we're going to have Mike Green, who plays the intro track "Break Free" on the podcast that you guys been hearing. And we're going to be there. There's a bunch of y'all that have registered, so we ask that there's a registration link in the description of this episode, or you can find it on our socials, and we just register so we know you're coming. And it's going to be a
free.
good time. It's free. It's free. Yeah, that's. I mean, some people have said they're traveling. That's cool. We don't expect people to travel. We appreciate.
We're
people who said
traveling.
they're traveling. Well, yeah, we are traveling.
March 8th, Hard Rock Cafe, Nashville. Be there. It's
Yep.
going to be a great time. All right. Sam, please tell us about our guest.
So, Mr. Pete Abdou is a super awesome drum tech who has had the pleasure or displeasure of touring with both Michael and I from the past year. So, he's worked with bands such as Hailstorm, Megadeth, One Republic, Ace Frehley, and most recently Volbeat. So,
Welcome, Pete.
How's it going?
Good to have you, man.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good to be here amongst all the audio peeps.
Yeah. Pete, I'm on your mailing list. I don't know how many people are on your email list, but it's at least one, dude, because I'm on it.
All
I always get your
right.
emails. I see what you're up to. Yeah,
All right,
I
good.
dig it. Yeah.
You're up to date then. That's great.
Yeah, I'm very up to date. I'm a big fan. I watch all your stuff.
Oh, great.
He
Thanks.
does. He'll
Appreciate
text
that.
me. He'll
Yeah.
be like, "You're in the background of one of Pete's videos." I'm like, "Thanks, I was at work."
Did you like Sam's roadie short?
I did. I thought that
Okay.
whole series was really cool, actually. We
Oh.
should probably put up a link to that. Pete's been doing a series of videos, roadie shorts. Pete, can you tell us a little bit about that project that you're doing? I thought
Well,
it
let's
was really
just
neat.
talk about all the videos in general. 'cause
Yeah,
there's
so
a
much
couple
content, man.
different. There's the YouTube channel. There's the reviews. Let's get it all out.
It's a wealth. It's a wealth of content.
Yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. I haven't picked one medium yet for some reason. I should all, well, it all kind of funnels into the website anyway,
Mhm.
peteabdou.com. So you can find any of this stuff, through there. So, but, it started for me doing that. When I started touring, I just would video chronicle my travels because I used to write everything down. And, lo and behold, we have video. So it was easier to shoot video. So I started with the YouTube channel really, and it just kind of grew from there. And then, I'm not on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. So I post little things on Instagram here and there. And it kind of just kind of grew. I've had the website since like mid 90s, but the YouTube channel, I have two YouTube channels because I tried to separate it after the tour thing kind of blew up. And I was posting so many tour videos. I was also posting drum videos and, everything I do pretty much on one channel. And it kind of got a little, I don't know, congested, I guess. So I separated the tour stuff from everything else, studio work and live performances and whatever I put on a separate channel. The roadie shorts thing is part of touring, so that's why it's on the tour channel.
Yeah. I think you should do a whole series on all of the things that drum techs dislike about audio engineers. You could probably do a whole series on that.
Yes.
One thing that I thought was really cool, Pete, is there were some comments on your videos, and you would talk to people who did, video tech or whatever, and people would be like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a job." And I think there's a lot of value there because I didn't know any of these jobs were jobs when I was, in high school and early college. So
Neither did I.
Just bringing some consciousness to those jobs. It's like really, media server operator, that type of thing.
That was really the point of it. Myself and our lighting designer, Niller, were sitting around one day and he said, I watch your YouTube stuff and he's a subscriber, so he catches all the videos. And as much as people might love watching like what I do on tour, what does everybody else do? And why don't I just go around and randomly talk to people about, what they do? It doesn't have to be a big long segment. It just a few questions about what they do and how they like touring and things like that. And it's enough to kind of give people an idea of who else is involved with the production of such a big or such a small tour, depending where I am,
Right.
It was fun because it didn't have to last more than 5 to 10 minutes. And I wasn't pulling people out of their jobs. I was trying to find the gaps where they weren't doing much and they could just come and talk to me and have a conversation for 5 minutes. And it worked out.
It's kind of like the meme. I know at least us in the industry have constantly seen of like what people think happened backstage, right? And it's like what what people think, what my mom thinks, what my brother thinks, and then like what really happens, know. And obviously, what everyone thinks happens is like the frat party, then the blow, and the everything else, and it's like, and that may have been a heyday thing of a one thing, but that is definitely not the daily occurrence of what happens now. And so I think it kind of shines a light too of like, no, these are like legit careers, that people are doing, and not just obviously you as a drum tech, but I think it's what's cool is you're kind of highlighting it. Like these are all these different parts that come together when people experience these live events. It's an important thing to bring light to that.
Oh, I agree. I want to continue doing it, and I think I'll do it on every tour that I'm on. But I even thought about I might start contacting friends that I know are on tour and just do phone conversations and have that, and I can put it on the YouTube channel with a picture of them, picture of me, or whatever, and just put the audio up there. So I do want to continue doing it for sure. People seem to like it, so why not, right?
Yeah.
How does your path? I'm thinking we've had a guitar tech on the show. We've never had a drum tech on the show. How did you find the path into doing what you're doing now? Did you start off in high school and go, I want to be a drum tech for Volbeat? I mean, like, what was that? What was that path for you?
I had no idea. You were saying earlier how you don't know what these jobs are. You don't even know if they are jobs. I didn't know drum tech was a job. When I started, I was 10 years old and just wanted to play drums with people, and you end up in your teens wanting to be a rock star and all that.
Musical household.
Musical household, yeah. More on the cousin side though. My dad played violin very early on, but beyond that, he played records. So it wasn't, he wasn't very musically inclined after the violin, which was short-lived from what I understand. But I have cousins that are musicians, and I'd go over their house when I was a kid. I don't know if anybody remember a band called Malaya Rage?
Yeah.
From the 80s. Yeah. I'm like,
I was literally going to be like, I bet Kyle knows what that is. And now he does.
Yeah.
We're going to make friends. We'll be just fine.
My cousin is Jim Corey, the guitar player. And
cool.
I would go to his house, and his sister Linda is a drummer. And at that time, I think I wasn't even playing drums at that time. I think I was playing trumpet because I started with trumpet. And I would go to their house and they'd be jamming out. Did you?
Hell yeah. They talked me out of playing drums because they were like, here's what Jingle Bells sounds like on drums, Mom. Here's what Jingle Bells sounds like a trumpet. And I got pushed into trumpet instead of drums.
And similarly, I got pushed into tuba because I needed a fine art. I needed a fine art credit in high school, and I was like, I don't know how to play anything. So I talked to the music teacher, and I'm like, she's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to play drums. She's like, well, I have way too many percussionists. She's like, but I don't have a tuba player. And I'm like, all right, you got to teach me. So that's how I ended up playing tuba for like a year or two in high school.
I took a sousaphone home for a summer to practice. Those big white ones with the.
Wow, I never thought about the
logistics
of taking a sousaphone home. Yeah.
Here's the funny thing. I that's what I started on was a white fiberglass sousaphone,
right?
Because the school didn't have a brass upright tuba because they didn't have someone to play it or whatever, right? And so I started off learning on the marching band fiberglass sousaphone, and then they're like, "Oh, this is working out. Let's go buy a used actual tuba." So like the second half of the year, I actually got to play with a tuba, and definitely sounded way better. Oh
yeah. For me, sousaphone was all junior high school for me, so middle school. And then when I got into high school, it transferred over to brass tuba, but it didn't last long as I was playing drums on the side, all through junior high and all that. And I remember the high school drum line wasn't getting a part right. And I knew how to read melody music, but I never really read drum music. but I always learned drums by ear. So I went up and played this part, and after the rehearsal was over, the director asked me what the hell I was doing playing a horn when I should be playing drums. So I never played it again, actually. It was
Nice.
from that day, like I never played the horn again. And it was all drums for me after that. But anyway, to get back to your question, Michael, about, you going to say something, Kyle?
Nope.
No?
I was, but you're getting
Michael,
back to Michael's question first.
So after high school, I was immediately playing in clubs, and it kind of, playing with many, many bands and recording, and that actually kind of got me more into learning about studio engineering and things like that. And I would always stay after the sessions to, hang out with the engineer and just learn all the stuff that was involved in recording drums and recording any instrument, really. So it kind of got me into that path. So I knew more about the sessions I was going in on, which helped me a lot. And then around the mid 90s, I started teaching drums full time. And then around 2008, I moved to California, and I was living in Long Beach. And a guy that I knew a local company that was a labor crew. And I had never done any kind of stagehand stuff or any of that stuff. So I said, yeah, it's in music. Great. I'll keep doing it. And that's kind of what I've always wanted to just do, anything in music that I could get my hands on and make a living at, So me moving out to LA, pretty much knowing nobody, within 3 days, I was working at the Honda Center in Anaheim, unloading trucks and helping people set shit up and whatever. So that eventually segued into me touring as a drum tech. But, I skipped a lot of history there, I know, but it dates back to 2001 because I was in Boston playing with 4 different bands, and I was at this one show. I played with this solo artist. And after the show, I went and sat down at this table with a bunch of musicians, and we were talking. And this one girl from Dallas was there, this girl named Tiffany. And we started talking about what she was doing in Boston because she was from Dallas, and she was on sabbatical, and she was trying to find just a purpose, I guess. She was just kind of lost. And she was she was writing music, recording, and she was getting ready to go back to Dallas to sign this album deal. And she really liked how I played and wanted me to move to Dallas to play drums. So I did that. And I was with her till 2005. When I moved to LA in 2008, she married a tour manager. This guy, Jeff Good. Do you guys know Jeff Good?
I don't think so.
I know that. I know the name.
It sounds familiar.
But
Yeah. So Jeff was actually Volbeats tour manager, not briefly, but before Guy Sykes. And he used to run front of house for Blue October and a bunch of other bands. I think Drowning Pool, bands like that. So anyway, she married this guy, and I'd never met him before, but I went to their wedding and we met. And in 2010, I got a call from him and said, hey, my friend is tour managing this band, ironically out of Boston. And here I am in LA. They need a drum tech. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing? Like, I didn't even think that was a job, because I always set up my own shit and help my buddies set up shit and fix stuff and clean stuff and whatever, So I called them up and I got on tour with them, this band called Hourcast out of Boston, and they were opening for the Damn Things, who was opening for Volbeat.
Oh.
So that was kind of, and funny enough, that was Rob's connection too, Rob Caggiano, who's in the band now, because Rob played for the Damn Things. And Rob and I both met Volbeat on that same tour. So anyway, a year went by after that tour was over, and Jeff had called me up, and Volbeat had gotten rid of their drum tech, and the guitar player quit, and we went through all these changes, and asked me if I was interested. And of course, I remember those guys. They're all, the crew, we all hung out all the time and got along really well, which we still do. And I said, yeah, I was off the road. I had finished the year with the band I was with, and went on my first tour with Volbeat. I think my first tour with Volbeat was January of 2012 with Megadeth and Motorhead and Lacuna Coil, the Gigantour thing that they put on.
So nice lineup.
Fun.
So that's kind of how it all led up. But, I tell my students all the time, don't number one, don't pigeon when you're trying to play for somebody. Take every gig. Like, don't pigeonhole yourself to. And I guess that goes for any profession, really, right? So you get offered a gig, take it, because you don't know where it's going to lead. And for me, if I didn't sit down, if I just packed my drums after that show and went home and didn't talk to that person sitting at the table, I wouldn't be talking to you guys because I wouldn't know you guys. Because I wouldn't have never met Volbeat, might not even know who Volbeat is. You know what I mean? It's all connected that way. And it's the networking and actually being the type of person that's going to be social with other people after a gig. And a lot of musicians aren't like that. A lot of musicians are pack up their shit and go home after a show. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of networking, when did you start meeting other drum techs that actually give you an idea of what the drum tech's responsibility could or should be?
Probably that first tour with Volbeat, actually, because before that, I mean, I was meeting guys in 2010 and 11, and I learned certain things from them. But I think the guys that I was meeting weren't. There he is.
Kyle, what do you got? Kyle's got the tour poster.
He's got a damn thing posted. There's Rob.
Yeah. It says Rob Caggiano. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rob. Yeah. Yeah, because actually, Damn Things, they headlined the next tour, and the band I was teching for opened for them. Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time with
front
Rob.
of house with those dudes for.
Oh, did you?
One tour I did right before Iconoclast came out. I did Fall Out Boy before then, so I know Joe and Andy, and I know the Every Time I Die dudes too, Keith and
Yep.
Yeah, those
it's all
dudes,
connected.
That
man.
was fun.
Yeah.
And you got to do a Motorhead show, or at least I mean, I've been to 1,000 of them, but like that was one of the last tours that Motorhead kind of did before Lemmy passed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very cool. That was very cool for me, for sure. I
was Arnie doing front of house? Do you remember their front house dude?
Oh man,
little bald German dude, Swiss dude.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was, and
rips.
of course, Roger was working for him as usual, doing guitars and stuff.
So let's talk about that for a second, though, right? Because like when you're at front of house, like I call it the island very affectionately. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be out here on the island. Do you ever feel like removed from crew or maybe too crowded? Like what is it like for you working on stage as a drum tech? Because normally in my mind, right, I think of you guys as having the most stuff, right? Like what does your normal day look like on tour? Because like as an audio person, I'm like, oh, I know what my gear is. I know nothing about your world. And obviously the sound starts with you guys.
It depends who I'm working for. So I've been with John and Volbeat for 11 years, and my job has gotten a lot quicker because I know his stuff so well. So it's like I can have his stuff set up and ready to go in 30 minutes. And it's not a small drum set, as you know.
No, that is a lot of
and
drums.
I used to, when I started with those guys, I was miking everything up too. It wasn't just setting up the drums because they didn't have a monitor tech. It was just a monitor engineer. He would help out sometimes. Mads, who was our front of house guy, he would come out and help. But I guess the guy before me, he did that because the guy before me wasn't even a drummer. So he was more of a tech guy, and he knew how to tune and set stuff up and plug stuff in and whatever. So I kind of inherited the audio part of it as well when I joined those guys. And other gigs that I've done with these other bands that you listed, Sam, I don't have to worry about that. I just show up and do drums, and then the audio guys come and they wire everything up, and we're all good to go, you know. With Volbeat, now it's a lot, like I said, now it's a lot quicker for me, and I don't necessarily get the stage till almost noon sometimes. It depends where we are.
Yeah.
And how long everything. Yeah. But that's the way it goes, I guess, sometimes. Which, you know, it's kind of nice when I know I don't have to sound check till 3:30. So I got 3.5 hours. So I got time to do roadie shorts, and I got time to screw around and go visit people and have coffee and whatever. But Yeah, I guess it depends on the artist because John's very hands off too. When I was working with, I did nine fill-in shows with RJ from Hailstorm, and when I went out with them, RJ was very hands on, and he would come out, and he would come out and check everything and talk to me about this and about that. And it wasn't just because I was filling in, but that's just what he does. And
I've always been absolutely fascinated by him in particular and just his whole approach. I've never seen anyone. I kind of like to study drummers. I spend probably way too much time looking at YouTube videos and stuff like that, and I've never seen anyone that has that particular style that he has and the way just he approaches it. It's just very unique, and I found it very interesting. So that doesn't surprise me at all that he's very much sort of in the driver's seat with his art, And
he's very excited all the time. He's very excited about everything all the time and excited to see you and excited to get up there and play. And he was excited to hear me do sound check. I was like, what the hell? And I guess the guy that I was subbing for who got hurt, Terry, he doesn't play that much. And he doesn't like to really, like RJ likes to do a drum solo, but he's wanted Terry to play with him during his drum solo. He wouldn't do it. And when he saw I could play, he's like, "Oh, you got to play with me during my drum solo. I got these really cool quad toms from Pearl yesterday, and I want to come out and play those, and you can play my drum set." And this and that. He's really, really excited about it. And you don't get that from every artist that you work for sure, And so I did. I played like 8 shows with him. But
can we pause there for a second? You mentioned interesting fact, right? So, and this, I think this goes across for all backline, but we can speak of the drummers. It's like, you don't have to be talking about like dispelling or making known about like these jobs. Like you don't have to be this world-class musician to actually be able to be a tech, right? Like, correct. Like in audio as well, like half of it's probably just about your people skills and making sure you're taking care of your person and just knowing what they need and facilitating that. I don't care if you can play my songs or not. You're not there as my backup in case I break my leg. Happens sometimes. But that's just not what you're there for. That's not why
you're there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And the guy before me with Volbeat, like I said, he could barely play, boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. But he was very technically, savvy and knew the ins and outs of the drums and the kit he was using and the triggers and all that stuff, So they had him for a bunch of years before I got on board, and it worked. And I've seen many drum techs that really don't play that much. They just tech, and I'm not surprised by it. Yeah, you don't really have to be a drummer per se. You just have to, I think you got to like it and you got to love it too. For sure.
I'm not
being
saying
a drummer helps.
Doesn't. Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't help. It's just I've definitely seen plenty of people who. Where it's like how to string a guitar, you know how to tune it, but for the love of God, you couldn't play one song if you're like dependent on it, and that what I mean, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
That's
like
me.
The world needs different levels of people. What's the most exciting part of your day? What do you get? What's the one thing that brings you back every day? That the drive.
I was waiting for the popcorn to come out.
I was waiting for it.
Oh man, that didn't start for me till 2018. For those of you who don't see what I just did, I held up a bag of popcorn. And that's actually from Germany, guys. By the way, it was in my work box when it got shipped here.
Nice,
and it was sealed. So,
Pete, I'm very excited to go popcorn hunting with you again.
Yeah, that was a good one, actually. I'm glad you went with me. Niller went with me once. So 2018, just out of the blue, I was doing a Europe tour with Volbeat, and I decided that, because I love popcorn. So I search for popcorn in the different venues, and if I can't find it in the venue and there's a movie theater across the street, I go there and get it, or, whatever I can do. If there's a store, I buy it, whatever. So in 2018, I decided to chronicle it on my YouTube channel and try to find the best popcorn in Europe.
What?
The places we were going, obviously.
That's awesome. So, what's the best? Oh, sorry. Well, I'll shut up.
In 2018, it was Herning, Denmark. And that was, I think, the second show we did that year. And we did 30-something shows, whatever it was. And it all circled back to the beginning of the tour. Nothing beat it. But along the way, you run into, okay, well, this venue only has sweet popcorn, and this venue only has cheddar popcorn. This one only has salty and butter. And I'm a salt butter guy, so I like the other stuff, but how can I compare the three of them together? Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't choose one over the other.
Of course not.
I can't say just can't say that this one's the best because it's salt and butter. You know what I mean? So I just had to narrow it down to just salt and butter.
So,
But-
Pete, what are the rules of the rankings?
So the rules of the rankings are obviously consistency. It can't be stale. It can't, day old, week old. And I ran into that all the time. If you watch some of the videos, I show up really early before they open to see if they even have it already popped, pre-popped, bagged, whatever. So it's got to be as fresh as possible, obviously, in the consistency. The salt to butter ratio has to be there. It's got to be right. If it's served warm, that's a bonus, which it was in the winter this year. The winner this year was Vienna, Austria. And they held the title. We were there at that venue for 2 days, but that didn't matter. But
Do you let the
They
people
popped.
know who is like? Do you talk to people about like the people who are serving you? Like, hey, I'm experiencing this, and here's what I
Yeah.
like, and let them know that. Hey,
well,
you're
I tell
you're
them
ranking.
I'm doing. Yeah, I tell
Nice.
them I'm doing that. Usually when I go up to ask for it, because sometimes they don't make me pay for it if I do that.
Oh, nice. Have you
Other
ever told
times-
people that it's like awful? Like, just give them honest truth. Like, this is
Yes,
nice.
yes, and in the videos too. In
That's
the
awesome.
videos too, yeah, because there was some pretty horrible ones. One of them, if you watch one of the videos, I went up and it was in a bunch of boxes. Like, I found a popcorn stand. It said fresh popcorn. Blah blah. I had a case. I'm like, all right, great. They're gonna pop it today. It was in the boxes in bags, and they just poured it out of the bags into the
Warmer.
case and made it look like it was popped there. They just didn't even pop it there. So how
Lame.
could they even rate? Like, yeah, it was horrible.
So I
You were gonna
assume
say
when you're
something, Michael.
home, you don't go for like pop secret when you're watching a movie at home.
No, I
or
go to the
something
movie
like-
theater and I get popcorn and I go home.
Pete,
do.
If you ever
Been
come
doing
up
that for
my
years.
way, man,
My
there's
lady
a
does
gourmet
that.
popcorn store up here.
It's good.
And so I actually think Sam's been there. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
amazing stuff. So if you're ever up this way, I'll
All
take
right.
you. Yeah.
Awesome. I would love that.
Crazy flavors.
Yeah, a band I played with in California for a while, whenever we would go on tour, we would van tour up and down the coast, and we'd have a day off or something at somebody's house and say, is there a theater near here? He says, oh, yeah, let's go see a movie. So we go, and I said, I don't want to see a movie. I just want to buy popcorn. I go, what? What are you talking about?
Awesome.
But yeah, I've been doing that for years. But the popcorn hunt started in 2018, and I didn't actually do another one until this year.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't do another one until this year. And this year was more fun. This year, other people were involved. Sam was involved and Diller was involved. Fans started bringing me popcorn. Volbeat fans.
Cool.
Yeah, from different countries and
Cool.
different microwave pops and different store bag pops. And, some people made it at home and brought it. And I couldn't eat it, obviously, because, you don't really know what's in it. It could be dangerous. You don't eat food given to you on tour. That's the way it is, unfortunately. Sorry. But yeah, when people see this stuff and find out stuff that you like, they start bringing it. Yeah. What were you going to say,
What if
Sam?
you were like the craft coffee guys who bring their own drip and like do that, but you had your own little popcorn setup? I think that would be kind of neat. You got a Pelican with like all your little bits in it and everything, like the coffee folk.
So I want to talk about. I also want to talk about Pete's work box, but before we get there, you had the popcorn. You had the microwave popcorn pop bowl. I remember
yeah,
because we were
yeah.
in production rehearsals,
Yeah,
and I
that was a
walked
gift from a
out,
fan too.
and I hadn't met
Yep.
anybody, and I walked out, and I just smelled popcorn, and you just walked up to me, you want some popcorn? I was like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Someone gave me. Someone mailed it to me. No, someone in the U.S. tour, a fan brought it. It was a silicone bowl that you can pop popcorn on in your microwave, and it's better than doing the bags.
I've
And
seen that
it was
thing.
amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. And so I had it on most of the tour, but then I brought it to Europe in the summer this year, and it disappeared. Like, I think either someone threw it away or stole it. I don't know which sucks, but that was pretty cool. I want to get one built into my work box, but that might be a little much. I might just have to get a separate road case for a popcorn machine.
Pete also has a very cool workbox. Can we talk about the special addition to your workbox?
Yeah, so that's part of my day too. You asked about my day, Sam, how my day goes earlier, and I got off on the popcorn track. But and your question too, Chris, about my most exciting thing on tour. Yes, it's popcorn, but I'm a drummer, and I love being able to play the drums in these big places that I've never probably ever get to play in my lifetime. The festivals and the huge arenas and all that, because I sound check twice a day, so that's really thrilling for me for sure. Feeling the immense volume coming through those speakers,
It's awesome.
That's a good thing to hear from a tech, because I think a lot of us get jaded on that. And that's one thing I learned early on was you got to do the thing, whatever it is. And that's part of the thing. Like, how many times you could be standing on a stage in Japan outdoors for like that many people, or a festival in Europe with 100,000 people that have been camping out for 3 days. Like,
exactly.
You can't sit on the bus or sit at the hotel. You can't.
No. It makes it, for me, it makes it worth all the bullshit you might have gone through to set up that show.
Yep.
Because sometimes it's not easy, especially festivals, as you guys know. It's not smooth. It's different every fucking day that you show up. It's different load-in times. Just different everything. I mean, it might seem like every festival is the same, but no, they are not.
That's my favorite thing ever is I've done what I need to do. It's not quite doors yet. I love going out and walking around the venue, walk around the parking lot, take a lap around the arena or whatever, and see. Yep. I just did Billy String's New Year's show, and man, they're just out there and they're all dressed up and they're just so excited, and I just love doing a lap and then that's kind of a grounding thing for me. This is why we come back and keep doing this job, and I think
Absolutely.
that's something that's kind of become a little bit of a ritual to me. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Pete, you said you've been working with John and Volbeat for 11 years. What's the dialogue like at this point, in terms of what John is doing and, hey, I want to change the symbol or I want to add another thing here? I mean, are you probably involved in that progress by now?
Yeah, I am. I have been for a while. I mean, John's different in the way that he's kind of hands off, when it comes to the way things are tuned and stuff like that. He wasn't in the beginning, obviously, because I was just starting with him, but it didn't take very long for him to say, okay, yeah, this is good. I know I can come out here and this is going to be the same. As far as making changes, we've gone through like using different heads and there was a year where, believe it or not, we went to flat black drum heads. This is probably 3 or 4 years into me working with him. Went to flat black drum heads, and the only reason we changed to those drum heads was because the lights were shining in his face off the clear heads. And as silly as that might sound, when I'm up there sound checking sometimes and Niller's got the lights going, I'm like, I'm blind. I can't see anything. I don't know how he sees Michael during a show.
So we all joke because like we all wear sunglasses at front of house because of it. Like there's all these pictures of me in my aviators. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I can't see anything otherwise.
Right. So when John when John mentioned being blinded and what can we do, I just told him, well, you can either tell Niller no lights on the drums, or we can change your heads to flat black. They do make a flat black head, and they won't reflect. You're already getting enough hardware and cymbals and all that, so this will at least cut down on a little bit coming off the drums. So he was willing to try it, and we used them for probably I don't know, a year or two of runs, but the sound wasn't as good, and none of us thought, including our sound guys, none of us thought that it was as good as the heads we were using prior. So we eventually went back to him, and he hasn't really complained about the reflection since then. It might have just been something he was going through. I don't know at that time. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I try to find solutions as needed because he does sometimes go through that. Like right now, we're actually trying to go through because ProMark stopped making the gloves we use and the drum gloves. So now he's got to find a different company. So, and this would happen in the middle of a tour. So he kind of goes to me and I research as many different companies that make them, and I try to get a pair for him to try, different sizes, all that stuff. He's trying to find new stick company as well, so we're kind of going through that, and he's gone. We went to the Peisty factory this time around. We got to go to the factory, which was great, and so he would go in and try stuff, and he always kind of asks me what my opinion is. When he first signed with Peisty, he had chosen a bunch of cymbals, and then he would email me the list and say, if there's anything you think you should add it to the list, and I'll try them. When he was, so I'm pretty involved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when he wanted a new snare drum, Pearl shipped me 6 snare drums that I chose, and I reheaded them with what John was using. I went to the studio, I recorded them with his sticks, with his heads, and I sent John MP3s.
Wow.
So that's what I mean by
cool.
hands off too. Like,
Right,
he wouldn't
right.
go through that.
That's
He's not
awesome.
a technical guy. He's not a tech guy. I love that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I do,
I can tell you went
And-
to the studio and recorded. That's amazing. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah. So
it's also
That's
really, I
awesome.
mean, it's really cool to have that trust with the artist that
Yeah.
they're looking to you and they just go like, well, I know Pete's going to take care of me,
yeah, it's
Right.
good to get to that point for sure. And John's a super sweet guy. And, my day is easier because of him, partially,
Mm.
and my day is not as long as some people's on our crew because of him. Because the other artists, I'm lucky.
Poor Pete gets to see me like 3 coffees in when he walks in. He rolls off the bus, and I'm like 6
Yeah.
shots of espresso in. He's like, "You all right?" I'm like,
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
flip side of that, Pete, is halfway through the run that you and I did together, we had John got sick, and
Right.
you had to bring in a sub drummer. And can you talk about that process a little bit of just getting up to speed on that, and finding that we got to go quick and we got to be efficient, but we also need to make him comfortable? And what was that process like for you?
This is where being a drummer helps. Okay.
Mm.
Because not only were they bringing in John Daddy, but he's a lefty.
Ooh.
So that's a whole new set of circumstances you're dealing with, from a righty drummer to a lefty drummer. And he wanted to use John's drums. So I've been setting up John's drums for years, righty, obviously. And it's not a small kit, and it's not just easily interchangeable without losing. Like, what I was worried about was losing all memory locks and things like that on John's angles and heights and things, because now I got to adjust it to John Deddy, who's completely different in how high his cymbals are and what the angle of his toms are and things like that. So I had to try to be a little creative and not lose my place with John Larson while I'm teching for John Deddy. Even though they both have the same first name. I try not to confuse the two. But, when they brought him in, we actually rented a kit to rehearse on, so I wouldn't have to screw with John's drums. And I went online, which is the beautiful, before there was the internet. I don't know how else people would do this, but I went online and I checked out every video I could, current video of John Deddy and his setup, and kind of got a feel for what I needed to do. We rented the gear, went to a rehearsal at a theater, set all his stuff up, and he showed up. I had known John from a previous tour with Anthrax because he was subbing for Charlie, and they were opening for Volbeat. So we already knew each other, luckily, and we got along. So that helps. He came in, gave me a big hug. So let's do it. He checked over some stuff. He made some tweaks. He told me like what spring tension he liked on his pedals, all that stuff. So, I made notes where I needed to. He did 3 shows, I think. The challenge for me was transitioning John's kit into a Deddy kit, and that took some time. So my days were longer then, for those 3 shows than they have been probably the entire time I've been with John Larson. Even though Deddy's, the kit was scaled down for Deddy. I didn't use as many toms. But yeah, it was still lefty.
You got some
So
really cool videos from those shows. The thing that we were dealing with out front is I did this show, and it was a local thing, and the drummer wanted to hear his kit from the house, so he had someone else sit behind his kit and play. And then he was like, well, that doesn't, I'm like, well, it's not you. And so he's just thinking the sound of the drums. And I, as the mix engineer, was trying to explain, yeah, but you are the human who's playing them. That's such a huge factor in the sound that it makes. And so, Denny was doing a lot of work out front because, like you said, the drums are pretty much the same drums, but you can tell when you insert different player behind that kit, he did a lot of work on the mix to keep it together. And it was really a cool thing to hear because you don't really get that situation too often where you've got this really gelled show and these really gelled players and this really gelled sound. And then it's like, replace this person, and we just kind of heard a different perspective on what was happening with the drums on that show. And that was a pretty cool experience,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I could see how it would be, I when you tech like that and you're switching to a different drummer and a different personality and he swings the sticks different, you might play harder, whatever. And you're sound checking for that guy too. You have to switch gears. Mm-hmm. You have to switch gears and try to play like that guy, and I'm not going to play like Daddy, but I can kind of try to play as heavy as he hits and, maybe study his swing a little bit and swing the stick like he does to help out front of house. And I think I did a good job of that. Denny had mentioned to me that it was amazing how close I came, luckily, so, but that's kind of something too that you got to watch out for when you're switching gears so quick to a different guy. Cause it's not just the drum set. It is, like you said, it is the person, and it definitely makes a difference. The velocity they hit with and everything,
The first time I noticed that was, and I've thought about this a while back, was like, so like if you work a house gig, whether it's a church or whatever, and it's like the same house kit, you have a rotation of drummers. That was the first time it was apparent to me. I'm like, okay, the kick has specifically kick drum. Kick drum hasn't changed. The mic placement hasn't changed yet. It sounds different across each three people, and it blew my mind that the physical thing never changed yet. Just the way someone physically hits that with their foot, or how, maybe if they rest the beat a little bit longer than the next person to dampen the head or not, and how much it changes that tonality. That was interesting, and how to adjust for that. And like if you only ever heard, well, this drummer and this kit, this drummer and this kit, it's not so apparent. But like you said, as soon as you hear those kind of A-B back and forth, I'm curious, have you ever had to work with a drummer who sang and you were responsible for like swinging the microphone around when he had to sing and then swinging it back around when he wasn't singing? I've experienced some artists like that.
I thought I was going to have to do it with RJ, but he does it himself. In Hailstorm, he grabs it with a stick and then he swings it back. And the only responsibility I have as far as the microphone goes is make sure it's in reach. So, yeah, I was always, I was actually a little worried about that, but I was always worried about hitting him with the microphone in the mouth.
That would suck.
When you swing it in, it just go clunk. No, because and I've done it for myself, but no, I haven't run into that with anybody else. No, just RJ, and like I said, he was pretty self-sufficient that way. Yeah, where he liked to have control of that, himself.
Has there been something that you noticed in your own playing that you said, "Oh, I got to take this back to what I'm doing as a tech," and like some cross-pollination, that you kind of discovered when you're sitting behind your own kit, something where you store it or set it up or tune it, and then you said, "Oh, this is going to help me with that other project."
Good question. I don't think I really think about it. I don't know. I think it becomes built in.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I don't notice if I do, nothing comes to mind. I'm probably going to pay attention to that now. I have gigs coming up. I'm probably going to pay attention now that you say that. Let me get back to you on that one.
So something,
I'll text you.
Something I've been curious about for a little bit is how is it working with your engineers on site, right? Like how does that dialogue in between like you and Pat and Aaron and Denny all, because I'm so far removed from that.
Right. Sure.
So what is that relationship like, and just how does that work between you guys?
In Volbeat, because we've been working together for so long, even though not as long with some of the guys, especially like the audio techs, we've had a couple come and go before Aaron. And so Aaron's kind of new to the mix. It's usually the techs that I have more involvement with obviously with setup and with the Volbeat gig, because I was doing it all in the beginning, transitioning to having a tech come up and fuck with the kit was a little weird for me. And also because I'm very, like, I don't use a stagehand to help me set up. I use them to help me load out sometimes because I don't want things scratched and bumped and whatever. I'm kind of, it comes from me being a drummer maybe, but I just have to, just because I feel like it's my kit, you know, and I don't want anything happening to it. And I am responsible for it. But the guys we have now are very good with knowing when I'm ready for them. And that's important because they've come up before I'm ready, and I'm a patient dude, but I usually will tell them, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the what you hate about audio engineers here. That's what that's where we're getting at right here. We're bringing it out of you. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, well, but you know what though? I've been in that situation where they don't give a shit, and they come up and they just start plugging shit in, and I don't even have angles and heights ready yet. You know? I think it's an experience thing. What I've learned or I've seen, right? Like I think once when you're younger and you don't know what you don't know, right? And I think we could all attest this from the audio side. It's like from an audio perspective, you have a job, right? I got to get these mics on these things. I got to move on to the next thing. And it's like, you know, and I think what I've experienced is there's a certain point in your career where you learn this awareness of like, no amount of me getting here quicker is actually going to make things quicker, right? Like you always ask either the drummer or if they have a tech, like, hey, you let me know, and it will always be quicker. So that's a PSA. It will always be quicker and better. If you ask either the drummer or drum tech, hey, you let me know when you're ready, and then you could be in and out in 5 minutes. You don't need to be spending 15 to 30 minutes fixing every time they adjust. Yeah, so that's a little PSA to us.
Thank you for doing it. For
the other thing is that you're going to miss stuff because you're going to, you're still setting the floor, Tom. I'll go to the overhead. Well, you're not going to go back to, you're going to forget stuff, right? So wait till they're done, go in and go through your input list. Because, I mean, I've seen it happen where they're trying to work around the drum tech, and then you never get Tom 2 plugged in because they were adjusting something, and now you got a bigger problem, you know? So just go get a drink or something and come back.
Right. When we have, you know, it's a time issue too. Like when we have 3 hours and I know I can get the kit set up in a half an hour, leave me the fuck alone until I'm done. We got 3 hours. You're going to be fine. You know, when the gear doesn't show up till 15 minutes before the show, then fucking panic and come up here and we'll get it done together. Yeah, that's cool. Come up and do your thing. And we've had that happen. So I've been in that situation and I'm fine with it then. Yeah. You know, I know I go by time frames, you know, like if I have a day sheet in front of me and I know I need to be done by this time, I'm ready by that time. But just because you want to be ready earlier, don't think that's going to make me move faster. In fact, it makes me move slower because then I got to pay attention to you because you're up here. Yeah. You know, so like you were saying, right, Chris, it was like, it's not going to make me go any faster.
Right. No,
it's not going to get your job done any faster.
If anything, it's going to be worse. No. Yeah, for sure. Right. How about what do you listen to compared to your drummers? Different techs have different feelings and thoughts on whether they listen to the exact same mix so that if something were happening to theirs, they can peel it out, or sometimes techs need to hear some different things. So what's that lane like for you?
It's changed for me. Well, with John, it used to be I only listened to what he was listening to, but since then I don't know if we've gotten new packs or what, but they switch channels so I can listen to 2 mixes and you switch back and forth. But we didn't always have that, so I would always listen to John's mix and make sure that what he was hearing was what he wanted to hear. And I could also, but see, John's mix is he doesn't listen to any cymbals. He's got bass, Michael's guitar, Michael's vocal, a little bit of Rob's guitar, kick, snare, a little bit of Tom's. And sometimes I'm not going to hear if a mic goes dead on certain things because it's not in his mix. Yep. So I always have a secondary mix where it's just drums and maybe a little bass and a little vocal. I don't care about the guitars. Right. So I want to hear the drums really clearly so I know something's going wrong if something goes wrong. Yep. We all have crew mix. That's my mix, but we have a crew mix that we can talk to each other on. So usually I'll get a call from Denny at front of house or Pat in Monitor World and say, hey, snare mic is weird. Something's crackling, whatever. And I can go out there and see what's going on. So we try to, check for each other. My relationship with the guys, getting back to Sam's question, I work really well with them now. Going through different monitor techs is tough because especially every tour, because obviously it's a new personality. They have a certain workflow that they like to use, and it's different from the last guy. And I have something I've been doing for the past 11 years that I like to stick to. So do I force them to go with, me, or do I try to work with them not knowing how long they're actually going to be, or are they only here for this tour? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's valid.
So,
yeah.
But it's been okay. Like I said, I'm pretty patient, and if they give me my time, and that I'll leave them alone with the kit, I'll trust them that far after, say, the first 4 or 5 shows. When I don't know the guy, I'm usually there till he's done. And if he routes something weird, or I'm also very like cosmetic, so if your cable runs look fucked up, and especially with video now, if it's covering artwork on a drum, but it could go another way, I'm going to tell you to put it the other way. Because it's going to be in that video frame or whatever. I pay attention to that stuff.
You have to.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes, and this is perfectly fine when you're the new guy as the monitor tech, and you're wiring up the drums, and you're the new guy. You're just trying to get it right and trying to get it done. You're probably not paying attention to that much detail right away. And that's kind of why I stay out there, just to let them know this is how we usually do it. This is how, to give them a heads up. And if they don't remember the next day, no big deal. They don't remember the next week, well, we'll see if they remember by the end of the tour, I guess. But, I try to help out.
No, that's the advantage of a tour. I mean, like when you're doing like legit tours, or you're doing like a world tour, multiple ones, this, that, and the other. I mean, like you're literally cutting XLR, resoldering ends, so your loom is the exact length every day, as opposed to a festival patch where you end up with these piles of cable and this, that, and the other. Like there are 2 differences in 2 different times, and that's the beauty of touring, is that you can basically hide every cable and stand and yeah.
But I also try to think about loadout.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want a cable wrapped 5 times around a cymbal boom.
Yep.
Because I need to get the fuck out of there, And now I got to unwrap this cable 5 times to get this one cymbal boom off, And because usually they're not up there right away. They're doing wedges or whatever, and they don't have time to get up there right away. So I got to peel off cabling while I'm taking drums down and taking drums apart, But everyone up there's got a pretty good relationship, and we kind of learn quick of how everybody gets through their gig, and we try to not step on each other as much as we can, Everybody's got a pretty good rapport at this point, We fuck with each other and joke with each other, and we're up there playing video games and whatever else.
That's what family does.
Yeah, it's all good.
Sam, do you want to do your question?
Sure. All right, Pete, what do you wish you knew when you first started?
Well, I wish I knew when I first started. When I first started teching?
In general, when you first started touring, working, getting into the industry, anything?
What I wish I knew.
Where the best popcorn was. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Don't mess up the food question.
The what?
Not
the food question. What do I wish I knew when I first started? I wish I knew I could actually get paid to tour the world and
there you go.
See places I've never seen, because I would have strived for it a lot sooner in my life. I mean, how old are you, Sam? You're 20-something? 20 young?
Just turned
22.
Say
20 young.
Let's go with that, 20-something.
Yeah, 20-something. I mean, you're already touring like I'm touring, and I'm 52. So...
Pete, you don't look a day over 29,
if I could have been doing
man.
that. Oh, thanks. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. So yeah, I mean, I wish I knew that, because I would have done it in my 20s. In my 20s, I was stuffed in a van with a bunch of guys roaming around the country, which was great in itself. And I think that's actually missing from a lot of bands now, is they don't go and do that. They don't get in a van together and go slug it out in the clubs all over the country or wherever you are.
I
do. They just immediately want to Oh,
start a
totally.
band.
Yeah.
No,
I
Kyle,
just-
you actually you have like thoughts and feelings on that of like the bands that like it shows when bands have never had to grind it out and like you just
Yeah.
start at 2,000 cap rooms and shit like that. Like there's a difference.
Yeah, let's talk
in-
old timer stuff, Kyle.
I love it, man. I tell you what, like if the right band asked me to do a van tour and I have a few in my list, I would totally
Mhm.
go do it. I would completely go
Yep.
do it because I tell you what, like some of the best things that ever happened to me, that question that Sam asks is where all those questions got answered. What I wish I would have known happened in a fucking van driving 700 miles with 7 stinky hardcore kids to a youth hostel.
Yeah.
Like those questions get
Right.
answered real quick. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. I like that
I
you
love
say
every minute too.
I like that you say that you enjoy getting paid for this because there is a even in audio, we're running into things with this podcast that we never even knew about in the world of audio, and especially with IT and how things are going in videos and games and what these young folks are learning about is huge. So
Yeah.
what would you tell a young drum tech would be the most valuable tool that you could give them now to get started, since there isn't like a school for drum techs?
I don't think anything beats, well, two things. The first thing is just getting out there and doing it on any level. So if you can get a van tour with a bunch of your friends that are going to do even just the East Coast or the West Coast or whatever for a couple weeks, and they're just offering, you offer to set their shit up to, for food, go do it and get
Mhm.
that experience, And then the second thing, which is part of this, is networking, which I told you guys if I didn't sit down in that club and
Mhm.
talk to that girl after the show, I wouldn't be teching. Well, maybe I'd be teching, I don't know, but I wouldn't be teching for Volbeat as far as I can tell, because I would have never met any of those guys. I would have never met that tour manager, that got me a stagehand job and then ended up getting me a tour job. I would have never connected with that guy as far as I can tell. My path
Huge.
would have been drums, but it would have been different.
Yep.
Definitely would have taken a different path. So don't be afraid to, scrape and claw and get in, dirty in a van with somebody and tour and get that experience. And while you're out there, talk to everybody that's doing it.
Yep.
And let them know who you are and exchange, especially now it's so easy to exchange contact information that you can always keep in touch with these people and keep in touch with these people. Don't just meet them there and then never talk to them again. I think that's the most valuable thing for me to share.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Michael.
Excellent. So, Pete, you said you are in Massachusetts, which is like sort of my neck of the woods. We're
Yeah.
all going to come down and we're going to meet you for dinner. Where are you taking us? Favorite spot?
Oh, Mac and Waltz in Norton.
Oh, you had it
Massachusetts.
ready. That's
Oh,
awesome.
You're
Yeah.
speaking
That's good.
Michael's language.
Yeah.
Mac and Waltz is a whiskey bar, but the food is amazing.
Nice.
And it's a small little place that is owned by a son of parents who own all these huge Italian joints in the area. But he opened this one and named it after his two sons.
Oh, so
Mac and
not
Waltz.
like mac and cheese like Michael's obsessed with. That's what I was
No,
thinking
no.
when you said mac.
No, but they do have an awesome mac and cheese there, so
See?
you can get that.
Nice.
I love that.
As you should. If mac is in your name, I think
Yeah.
it'd be
That's right.
prerequisite there has to be good mac and cheese.
Right.
I
Rolling
have
your-
a northeast. Since I have a bunch of folks here from the Northeast on a podcast, I'm gonna ask a food question. What's with the roast beef places up there? Like that's a thing, and they're all different.
Me and Leo Pisak just went to one, man. Up at it's called Piggy Pat's. It's but I think in New Hartford, New York, we met up, and you'll have to ask Leo what he thought. But yeah, there's like a little pocket of really good like pulled pork, roast beef type of thing. Yeah,
I noticed that too. There's one in Revere Beach and above north of Boston. Yeah,
Kyle, it's
That's
funny
it.
you say that. I met my now wife on tour at a place called Nick's Roast Beef on 2nd Street in Philly. So, yeah.
You had a hot roast beef date, Chris?
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
On that
let's
note,
move
thanks for
past
joining
that
us.
Before,
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Yes.
oh my god! All right.
Pete, thanks for being here, man. We appreciate.
Wait!
chatting.
My question. I got my question.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Chris's
right,
question.
Oh, yeah, your
I got
question.
distracted by the roast
Yeah.
beef. Go ahead,
Jeez.
Chris.
And Sam's not even here. You can't leave without
Oh, she's
Sam.
back. She's coming
Yeah.
back.
Oh, there she is.
Chris,
Yeah,
finish
it's
her off.
What's up,
probably a good
Chris?
thing she didn't hear any of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So,
Thank
Pete,
goodness.
Yeah.
if you could define your legacy or how you'd want to be known, how would you define that?
Ooh. Not Popcorn Pete. As I know that's what you're all thinking of.
Although, hold on, if that's not already a TikTok name that you own and you haven't started a popcorn thing on
There's got to
TikTok,
be one out there already.
yeah, I don't
There's
know.
gotta be
man.
plenty of popcorn Pete's
This
out
could
there.
be a thing. You could make a channel on the whole popcorn rating thing.
Maybe I'll just open a popcorn store and call it Popcorn Pete's.
Yeah, you could have like
That would be
popcorn
great.
OnlyFans. I mean,
It is the thing. I just checked. So you're gonna have to
see,
fight him now. Yeah.
Yeah. Never compromising or pigeonholing myself into one thing,
nice.
and always being open and always sticking to music. I always stuck to music, but I took every aspect I could get my hands on and learned about it, even if I wasn't 100% with all those. Just 100% with one thing. I always wanted to learn the other aspects of the music business and everything that's involved.
Was there
That's
a
one
pinnacle
thing.
spot where you learned that you had to maybe accept more things or to learn that, or has that always been rooted there?
Yeah, it was my first band, actually my second band. The first band I toured with, which was 1992.
Metal?
91.
Was it metal? Tell me it was metal.
It was more Aerosmith blues rock.
It's
metal.
okay. It's okay.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry to disappoint you.
No, I was hoping for another Malaya Rage, the East Coast thrash metal.
No. See, I didn't get into that. And can I just say this? Are we out of time? Can I say this?
You're fine.
So-
The floor is yours, Pete.
All right. Okay. I'm not trying to offend anybody in the metal world at all, but I'm going to say this. The band I have been touring with, Volbeat, for the last 11 years, most of the bands we tour with are completely lost on me. Like, it is not my genre. I'm a Cheap Trick guy. I'm a Danko Jones guy. Danko Jones tours with us, and it's my favorite band we've ever toured with in 11 years. But a lot of the iconic metal bands, I love Iron Maiden, and love Motorhead and all those older metal bands. But a lot of the bands we tour with and play festivals with are just lost on me. And I come home and people are like, "Oh, I was touring with this band." It was all right. Okay. Yeah. Just not my
Good
genre,
dudes.
I guess.
We always said, oh,
yeah,
they're
good dudes. Exactly. Yeah. Good dudes. Yeah. Yeah. It was a cool hang. Yeah.
That happens to
But-
us audio people as well. I mean that's if
Yeah.
you only ever toured with bands that you actually liked with, you wouldn't probably work very much.
Right. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, I don't choose the bands that Volbeat chooses to tour with,
Sure.
and I luckily enjoy Volbeat's music. I don't, but the genre in general, there's not a lot of bands that we tour with that I really get into and I want to go out and watch every night and all that, unfortunately. Not that they're bad bands, it's just not my thing. I'm sure you guys feel the same way about bands too. that
Same.
Maybe
Yeah.
you've toured with.
You were going to mention, so the second band you were with is when you had learned the lesson.
Yeah. So the turning point for me was in 1993. I had been in a band for 2 years and we had van toured and done all this cool stuff. And that was my focus. Like I lived that band. And when the singer called me up one day and said, "Hey, I'm joining the Army
Mm.
and the band is over," I was devastated. I didn't know what to do with myself. I hadn't played with anybody else.
Mm.
Before that I had bands, but during that 2.5 years, whatever it was, I hadn't played with anybody else. So I didn't really even know what I was going to do. So it kind of devastated me. So from that point on, I swore to myself I would never just play with one band. And that kind of segued when I became a drum teacher and then, becoming a stagehand and just I was a stage manager at clubs and I ran sound at clubs in certain places and learned about all that stuff, and like I said, with the audio engineering, when I would do sessions, I'd learn about recording. I just spiderwebbed, I never pigeonholed myself again into one style of music or playing wise, or one field really in the music industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I try to stay in my lane. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not
No,
a front of house guy, but
no, it's a wise thing. It's everything from, having multiple income streams to having the ability to kind of fall back on something else. It's not a crutch. Those are, and I think that goes across multiple lanes of the business, whether you're in audio, whether you're in whatever. So that's great. And unfortunately, it often takes lessons like that for you to learn. But I think the important part is you learn from it, and what you do with it after that is the important thing. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pete, where can you talked a lot about your videos and your work and your posts, and where can people find what you're doing? Let's make sure we get that in there.
You know what? Just go to peteabdou.com and all the links are on that website to go to my Instagram, my YouTube pages. All my band's music's on there. I'm different bands I play with and record with. It's all there for people to find. Just, take the time to do it if you feel like taking the time to do it.
And
I guess.
we'll put the link in the episode description as well.
Absolutely.
Pete,
that's great.
Thanks for joining us,
it.
man. It's great to chat with you.
Awesome.
Thank
you for having me.
That's awesome.
Thanks for hanging out.
Appreciate it.